Just like the trailer to the documentary, It's Worse Than You Think, Part 2. The video you're about to watch has already been removed and taken down by the enemy. It is only by the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ the Almighty that we were able to re-upload it. Watch the entire video as fast as you can and spread it to as many people that you know that love the truth. So putting together videos like the one you're about to watch have taken much more time than usual, because we have to be very wise in the things we say and show you, with the hope that you will put two and two together and read in between the lines to see what it is we're trying to show you and what the Spirit is saying to the churches.
He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
I needed to take the time and give you this video because of how fast things are moving. So please, pray before you watch this video. Take notes and warn as many as you can. So let's not waste any time. Let us begin with this small documentary called The Whole World is a Stage. I want you to imagine that this is a slice removed from the documentary It's Worse Than You Think, Part 2. What we are about to show you may shock you, may overwhelm you, but I promise you, you need to know the truth, because the Lord God said, "My people perish because of a lack of knowledge." Satan is a sorcerer, a magician, a worker of magical spells. From the beginning of time, in the Garden of Eden, he operates out of whispering language. Hopefully you have seen our documentary called The Whispering God. If you haven't, you can watch it directly on our website at revelationsofjesuschrist.com. This documentary was reaching almost 500,000 people and was taken down by the enemy. But he operates out of witchcraft language. But you have to understand that the Most High warned us in the book of Isaiah that Lucifer said that I will be like the Most High. And just as God is very precise and accurate, and he commands his servants to do things a certain way. When he commanded them to make the ark, when he commanded them to build the temple, he wanted it done precisely and exactly the way he commanded it to be done. In the same way, Lucifer, who wants to be like Christ, commands his evil servants to do things a certain way. And just as Christ uses numbers, symbols, and colors, we can see this truth all through the Bible. There are certain numbers that God uses. There are certain colors that he mentions on the breastplate of the priest, on the walls, certain colors in New Jerusalem, and symbols. But in the same way, Lucifer uses numbers, symbols, and colors, but he illegally uses these things that the Most High has created in witchcraft and magical rituals. As many of you know, we have been warning the masses for a long time how Satan uses Hollywood to brainwash the people with predictive programming, sigil, greater and lesser magic. Even the word Hollywood comes from the holly tree, which is what they make their magic wand out of. And just as a farmer plants a seed and waits for the right season for that seed to germinate and become a plant, the Luciferians plant seeds through movies, shows, cartoons, video games, news, social media, into the minds of the masses. And then they wait for the right season to bring that which they have given through predictive programming and psychological warfare to come to pass. You know, William Shakespeare once said, "All the world is a stage." This is a man that is propagated throughout schooling systems. But did you know that the Freemasons highly esteem him as one of their own? So what if this was coded language? And what if the world truly is a stage where Luciferian actors deceive the masses 24 hours, 7 days a week? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And why is that woe to us? Because you people and 62 million other Americans are listening to me right now. Because less than 3% of you people read books. Because less than 15% of you read newspapers. Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people.
This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people.
And if the illuminated ones highly esteem William Shakespeare as one of their own, then certainly they would believe the same philosophy, that the world is a stage and they must act and lie, put on shows, and trick the masses that are watching.
Followed the money, I found that it took me up the levels of a pyramid. Here we are at the bottom level going about our daily lives. Above us is government, people who are given a monopoly on force and use it to tax and control us whether or not we agree. But who controls them? At the next level are the corporations. Many would say that it is now corporations and not nation states that rule the world. They call it a corporatocracy.
Did you just hear what he said? He said it is now the corporations that rule and dominate in the world. This lines up perfectly with the prophecy of Revelation chapter 18, verse 23, that warns us about the abomination and how by sorcery will all the world be deceived by the beast, That word sorcery in the Greek is the word pharmakia. It's where you get the word pharmacy. Think real clear. What is from the pharmacy that is being pushed all over the world? But before that, it says that the merchants were the great men of the earth. Those that sold, those who have businesses, would be the most powerful people, will be the chief people. That is what it is saying. Prophecy coming to pass, but most, sadly, don't see it.
At the next level are the corporations. Many would say that it is now corporations and not nation states that rule the world. They call it a corporatocracy. To acquire the world's resources and control the markets, this corporatocracy must have access to cheap money. The big corporations get their loans at special rates from the big banks, which means that those who control the major banks, the moneyed elite, ultimately control the corporations. As I've followed the money, I've learned that almost everything I once believed about money is simply not true.
This would explain why, to the Luciferians, it is so important that everything is done as if it is on a stage. Because as we have told you in documentaries in the past, most of them have been taken down or removed because of the truth within them. But if you have seen certain videos, you would remember that we warned you about sigil magic and warned you about lesser magic. This is when they have to tell you what they're going to do in order to make the spell more powerful. Because the devil knows that you are created in the image of God. He has to get your permission and for you to agree for him to put a spell on you. But you see, there are certain gray areas where they can get away with it. Without telling someone, they're putting a spell on them. And one of these ways is through Hollywood, using movies, TV shows, using video games, news, social media, because the mind is not looking at it as something literal, but to the illuminated ones, they are dead serious. So when you start to put the puzzle together and you see certain events that have taken place, and then you look into the past and find out they were using lesser magic and predictive programming before they did it. One great example would be that tragic day 2 metal birds would fly into 2 tall buildings in the city of New York. But I remember that my life changed when my understanding was opened and the Lord showed me how crafty the enemy is. I'll never forget when I seen this video.
Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready.
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready.
King.
Yes, king. Sound it out. Get ready.
King.
Sound it out. Get ready.
King.
What word?
Kit.
Yes, kit. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready.
Seal.
What word?
Seal.
Yes, steal. Read these words the fast way. Get ready.
Playing.
Yes, playing. Get ready.
Must.
Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready. ready?
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready?
Kit.
Yes, kit. Get ready?
Steel.
Yes, steel. Get ready?
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready?
Must.
Yes, must. Go to your speaker reader up, come up to your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153. Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready?
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready?
Kid.
Yes, kid. Sound it out. Get ready.
Kid.
Sound it out. Get ready.
Kid.
What word?
Kid.
Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready.
Steel.
What word?
Steel.
Yes, steel. Read these words the fast way. Get ready?
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready?
Must.
Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready?
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready?
Kit.
Yes, kit. Get ready?
Steel.
Yes, steel. Get ready?
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready?
Must.
Yes, must. Ready?
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready?
Must.
Yes, must. Go to the speaker.
Kit.
Yes, kit. Get ready?
Steel.
Yes, steel. Get ready?
Are you going to tell me that that is a coincidence? Or could it be the same way the Most High God is very precise, the way he commands things to be done? And he uses certain numbers and colors, and he has a reason for what he does. And if Lucifer wants to be like the Most High, then he is going to operate out of magic power instead of the power of God. He is going to operate out of sorcery. He has to do rituals that open up gateways to the darkness. So while 3,000 souls were sacrificed, the children unknowingly were chanting, strengthening the spell on that tragic day. But you have to understand that we all came into this world and were victimized by the brainwashing and the psychological warfare of the beast system. And this is something that they have been waiting and waiting and waiting for, because everything has to be done in a season of time. So as the highly esteemed Freemason once said, the whole world is a stage. These Luciferians have to continue the movie. They have to continue this great plan. But have you ever wondered why they're so fascinated with the black and white checkered floor? The same checkered floor that a game of chess is played on. And speaking of chess, this is a game that was invented a long time ago. It's a game that takes craftiness. It's a game that takes pre-planning and foreseeing moves and trying to outwit the opponent. It's a game where soldiers are sacrificed for the greater good of the victory. But have you ever considered that to the Luciferians, the whole world is a chessboard? And that the white square represents how they masquerade as messengers of light. The black squares represent who they really serve, which is the Prince of Darkness. And could it be that as they look at the world as a giant chessboard, Have you ever considered that they're playing on both sides of the chess game? Have you ever heard of the Hegelian dialectic? What if all of the rulers of the world, kings and queens, presidents, dictators, truly do serve one master behind the closed doors in the darkness? And when they gather together to speak about what will be planned out years in advance, they are activating chess players on the black and white board. But this isn't a normal game where you're watching two people who are opposed to one another, playing against each other. The secret you must know right now is that the beast plays on both sides of the chess game. So the dragon decides what player will move where on his chessboard in his world. Remember, he is the God of this world. You see, for Satan to execute his final plan, to bring the world together, to place the beast in the heart of men, he had to wait for the human race to get to a level of intelligence where the book of Daniel's prophecy would come to pass, that knowledge would increase. He would have to wait for this day, for technology and for the use of electricity to be brought forth, for his diabolical plan to come to pass. We live in a day and age where you have to be careful what you receive as truth. In this last hour, they can make things appear in the sky that are not even there. Half the movies that you have ever watched have scenes that don't even exist. What do I mean by that? It means that while the camera was recording, the actors were in front of a green screen and they digitally put in a world in the movie that your eyes cannot tell you wasn't real. Remember that Satan is the great deceiver, the whisperer, the father of all lies. So how does your mind determine what is truth and what is false when it comes to what you see and hear on social media, movies, the news, on your technology devices? So who is the wizard behind the green screen curtain? The Most High warned us in the last days, they will hate good and love evil. They will reject the truth and embrace the lies. Where the saints of the Most High God will be labeled the enemy of the world, because many are not willing to tell you the truth at the expense of being hated, slandered, and rejected by millions. But no servant is greater than their master. And if they hated me, they will hate you, the Lord Jesus Christ said. let us carry on, as we had to stop with the editing of the documentary to give you this, because time is moving faster. Or maybe to you, that's just another coincidence, and I'm just doing this for views. Maybe this documentary is not for you. But what if? What if it really goes this deep? What if, to the Luciferians, it is very important to them that every detail is brought forth in their agenda, that to work their magical spells, they have to use lesser magic and show your eyes and speak to your ears what they're going to do. And when you do not reject it while you watch the movie, while your child watches the cartoon, while you play that video game, while you scroll through social media and watch what is going on in the news, when your mind does not reject that seed that they are trying to plant in you through magical spells, you give them the permission because you did not reject it. And Satan has found a way to get legal ground on so many without them even knowing it, because they thought it was all entertainment. But the very word entertainment means to be detained for entry. Now remember, my hope is that this video will remain online as long as possible. But it takes for you to help spread this video to as many that love truth as possible, as fast as possible. My hope is that this spell will break off of as many as possible at the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the Almighty. But I have to speak this truth to you, that your understanding would open and you would see it for what it is. You see, what you have to know is, if you see the agenda of Lucifer, and if you are exposed to how he operates his witchcraft, sorcery, and magical spells, once you are aware of it, then you will reject it and it will no longer have power over you. And this is why I had to take the time and stop where I was editing It's Worse Than You Think Part 2 to give you this video, because time is running out. And I have to make sure that the knowledge I'm about to give to you is brought to you. So that way you have this while you're waiting for this documentary to come out. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. What if the grid goes down? Look at how they are already letting you know that food is going to be at a crisis like never before. It is time for you to prepare and get your house in order. Seek Christ while he may be found. The way I'm trying to explain it to you, if you would just look at this world where Satan is the chess player at the top, which means you have to look at it through a military mind frame, through a military understanding. he is strategizing and moving chess pieces across the earth. One of the strategies of war is to flank your enemy, to trick your opponent. Have you ever heard of the story, the Trojan Horse, where they offered a gift at the gate of their enemy? They got in their boat and pretended to sail away. And the gates opened up, and their adversary let this great horse into their kingdom. And they celebrated and said, our enemy has given up. They have retreated. And later on that night, after they have drank and celebrated and were passed out all through the city, the belly of that horse opened up, and the top assassins that were assigned came out, slaughtered the soldiers at the gate, and those ships that looked like they were sailing away came back around and invaded and sacked the city. So do you think it could be possible that because the world is a stage, and because they know the children of God also use social media to warn the masses, they would have to try to flank you and trick your understanding by simply stopping mandates, saying we no longer need to wear this covering on our face, and you no longer need the abomination, after billions have already been bitten by the serpent. Because they are trying to get those that have been opposed and those that have been on the fence, not wondering, is this truly the abomination that Christ warned us about, or is it not? But I am warning you not to celebrate. You have to understand and know how a psychopath operates, especially a genius psychopath. Narcissists and sociopaths plot and plan their moves to use and destroy people. So start looking at this world as a chessboard, so that way you are not gullible to just quickly believe what you see and hear, but test everything and take it to the Lord. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you are a woman who is being abused every single day. You're beaten by your boyfriend. He has no mercy for you. And then one day he comes with flowers and tells you he loves you. Would you fall for it? Or would you know that something is not right? This is not his character, so why is he doing this? Don't you find it strange that certain countries went from 500 degrees of enforcing mandates to all of a sudden canceling them overnight? You don't find that strange? I mean, we did try to warn you in the documentary, The Boiling Frogs of Babylon, how they operate. But notice, right prior to this war starting in Ukraine, they switched up their tactics. But you see, while you're celebrating and while you're focused on foolishness, like Will Smith slapping Chris Rock in the face, which by the way was all acting, while they are distracting you to look over to the right, they're passing laws to the left. And do you think they really have a plan to end mandates when they are passing laws from December, January, February, March that have everything to do with monitoring those who have been bitten and those that have not. You will know a tree by its fruit. And while the world is distracted and focused on Russia and Ukraine, this is part of their great reset. Because they need these excuses to shut everything down. And doesn't it appear that America has been chosen by these Luciferians in their secret meetings to be a sacrifice on the altar of the beast? Can't you see how they are starting to change the way oil is bought and sold, and the US dollar is holding on by a thread? Because it is part of the plan to bring everybody to reset. The person with 250,000 in the bank and the person negative 20 in the bank will be reset to zero, where they can use the excuse of famine and food shortages due to this manufactured war to tell you you must take the abomination and continue the ritual or starve, be imprisoned, and eventually killed. But I will tell you a secret. If you want to know what will ripple to the rest of the earth, pay attention to the red dragon in the east. What goes on there spreads. You notice it is strange that world leaders are now starting to admire and highly esteem the president of the Red Dragon, as if the way they treat their citizens is honorable. But it's part of the agenda, because remember, the dragon gives the beast power, and the rulers of the earth give their allegiance to him, and he decides what goes on in his world. So this red dragon has just started a new lockdown. While people are deceived in America, thinking the coast is clear, off in the distance of the east, the dragon is pushing forth more ripples and mandates. And I want you to hear this very carefully. What is going on in Ukraine is part of the plan. And what is very probable and highly likely is they are going to use this as an excuse to introduce a new strand of you-know-what to the nations. It just so happens to be that they are saying in the Ukraine there are laboratories. And it just so happens to be that Ukrainian people are being sent all over the world as refugees. But remember, if this is a game of chess, they planned this a long time ago. The beast already planned this move on the chessboard. Just like all the things that have been propagated through mind control, lesser magic, and psyop programs that have been going on for a long time.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Sadly, so many that are blinded will ignore the voice crying in the wilderness and trust the fact checkers online. But they never do their research to find out who is paying these fact checkers online. Well, just with a little research, I found out that the same person that you see on the screen is the same company that is financially supporting and backing the fact checkers online. So let that sink in. The company that decides who is telling the truth and who is promoting lies is the same company being paid by the same people that are promoting the abomination. Are you starting to see how the game is rigged and the beast plays both sides of the chessboard? I noticed that even from a child, in this late hour and all the way to this late hour, movies and the media has always portrayed, most of the time portrays the Russians as an enemy of the United States. You see, this again was part of the agenda to create this warlike mentality in the minds of the people. But make no mistake about it, this is not a political video where I'm discussing things from an earthly perspective. I am trying to show you the spiritual behind it. Vladimir and the president of Ukraine are both moved around this chessboard by the same person at the top. Are you starting to understand how diabolical this is? They are both wicked, playing different roles to fulfill the great movie on the stage of the world, where Lucifer is the director and the funder of the movie. But I notice the increase to fuel that fire between America and Russia. And remember, the Lord Jesus Christ warned us, if you kill with the sword, you must be killed with the sword. The United States is the only country to use a certain device on another country called Japan. That is a great sword. And because of that, the United States opened up a door. And the biblical principle is, if you kill with the sword, you must be killed with the sword. And everybody thinks that America is invincible. And as much as I thank God I was born here, and there were so many blessings, and I do not hate this land, but we hate the evil that is propagated. We hate how Satan is governing those in leadership positions here. But we thank God for the children of Christ that are on this land. And we know that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, but could it be possible that because America did that to Japan, it opened up a door for Russia, China, and others to attempt to do it on this land? And just as the children of Israel rejoiced in the days of Jeremiah and said, we are protected, this is the great city of God, nothing can happen to us, but yet God himself was giving them up to Babylon. And Jeremiah was hated and called a false prophet as he warned them with tears. So do you think that God would do that to his own chosen people, but yet have some extra favor on this nation that has murdered more babies, promoted more sorcery, and done more evil than most of the countries they condemn? Now make no mistake about it. Just because I speak the truth doesn't make me anti-American. It doesn't make any of us a terrorist. Because we are against violence. We are against the murder of innocent people. For we do not fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God. And we hate to see bloodshed and innocent people murdered. And this is why we speak out. Because everyone that dies, where are they going? The most terrifying thing is dying not right with Christ, or dying rejecting Christ, or dying not knowing him. So yes, we stand against evil no matter what nation it is in. But it doesn't mean we stand against everyone in that place. So I am telling you this now so you know it ahead of time. That there is another wave that will come. You understand? One of the oldest tricks in the book when it comes to sales, and anybody that has ever done sales will tell you, have you ever had a man run up on you while you're in a parking lot heading into a store, and he'll try to sell you something? And as he's talking, he'll put that product into your hand and say, yeah, do you like this? Oh, yeah, you should buy that for your wife. You should buy that for yourself, whatever that product is. But then he'll take that out of your hand without asking you. It's actually a psychological trick to make your mind want that which you had in your hand. In essence, increasing the probability of you buying the product. So the same way the Luciferians will play psychological warfare with your mind, with the minds of the people, by taking away their freedom, enforcing mandates, treating them as slaves, although they didn't realize they were to begin with. Because without Christ, you are a slave. Who the Son of Man sets free is free indeed. And then they will give the freedom back to the people and say, hey, we just woke up and decided there's no more mandates. But as the masses hold that freedom in their hands and they enjoy not having to cover their faces anymore, they enjoy not being shut down anymore, then they take it back out of their hands, inducing and provoking more rage in the people. And they must look for somebody to blame. Why are we still being locked down? Why are we still being enforced with mandates? Why? And the great magician behind the green screen points at the people who stand for Christ and will not bow their knee to the abomination. So as you see China shutting down, as you see Ukrainians travel the earth, keep an eye out for so-called new strands of you-know-what coming onto the scene. But we must go to a newer level. We must go to another level in this short documentary. The same way the magic wand of Lucifer, which is Hollywood, has propagated things and used lesser magic to show you what they are going to do. Don't you find it odd that a movie would come out called World War Z? You know, starring Brad Pitt. Notice the words World War are in the title of that movie. Notice the people are demonized. Notice that it's called World War Z. And it just so happens to be that the country that the beast decided to move on the checkered chessboard has the letter Z on their tanks? Do you think that is a coincidence? Or maybe what I'm telling you is the truth, that these psychopaths have to obey the precision and accuracy of the commands of their master, Lucifer, who uses the beast as the one who plays the chess game, giving out the orders to the kings of the earth. What I'm about to show you is something you won't be able to undo. It's something that cannot be undone once it is revealed to you.